Well, he's far too modest to tell you himself, but when it comes to improv comedy, he's truly Canadian royalty. For 8 seasons, he made us all laugh hysterically on Whose Line Is It Anyway? Is one never lost for words, and on Friday, September the 20th, we'll be in town for an evening of antics, improv, and just downright bizarre behavior. COLIN MOCHRIE, welcome.
Thank you very much.
So how have you been?
I've been pretty good. I can't complain. I've been working, which is always nice, and managed to have some time off with my wife. So it's been a nice period of time. Now,
I find this hard to believe, but is it true that you were once a shy guy?
Yes. I probably need psychotherapy to figure out why I went into this business. But it certainly has gotten better with the success of Whose Line. I've sort of had to come out of my shell more, doing things like this interview and just meeting people. So it's actually been a thing where my occupation has actually benefited my personal life.
So I've been dying to ask you, at what point do you just wake up one day and say to yourself, I want to do improv?
Well, I never had that because, growing up, this was not an occupation. I didn't really know what it was. I was a big fan of Jonathan Winters, but it wasn't until I got involved with theater sports and started doing improv a lot that I thought, yeah, this is what I want to do. And then when Whose Line came along, it gave us all an outlet, gave us careers, and gave us a chance to improvise for the rest of our lives.
Yeah, and what amazes me is that you guys have no script whatsoever. I mean, when you hit that stage, you're walking out naked with nothing.
Yeah, there is that period of time just before the show starts where you're backstage and you think, okay, I'm going in front of this audience who have paid good money, and we don't have a show. It's a little nerve-wracking, but once we walk out there, there's just something that takes over, this sense of calm, and you know that somehow between you and the person on stage and the audience, you're somehow going to come up with a show.
Yeah, and really, I mean, it's the audience that makes up half the show, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they give us our show. Everything is based on their suggestions. In Brad and my show, we have audience members on stage with us for about 80% of the games, so they are basically our third performer.
So will twerking in any way be incorporated into the show?
Well, at this age, I would throw out my hip, so it may be a mild twerk, more of a thwack.
As long as it gets people talking for 2 weeks, I mean, it's a win-win,
exactly.
Right?
I would kill for that kind of publicity.
Tell me about Brad Sherwood, because, I mean, for years you've toured together. You're either very much alike or you're just complete opposites. Which one is it?
A combination of the both. I've known Brad almost 25 years now, and part of doing improv is having that trust in the person that you're working with on stage, and I totally trust him. We have sort of a sibling relationship. Mm-hmm. Sort of we needle each other, but there's a deep, not respect, because really, why should I? Yeah. But a love.
Yeah, and for anybody who's not seen you two guys, I mean, you two are probably the most unpredictable comedians when it comes to improv comedy.
I don't think the audience does know what to expect, and that's what kind of makes it fun for everyone. When you're watching, I find anyway, when I'm watching sitcoms today, I can sort of see where the joke is coming. There's sort of a rhythm. You can tell, this is the setup, and here comes the punchline. With our show, you never know what a setup is and what a punchline is, and we're as surprised as anyone. So if we're constantly surprised, I'm guessing the audience will be too.
Yeah, and we must stress this, that absolutely none of this show is scripted.
No, all we have when we go out is an outline of the games we're playing and what we're going to ask for, and that's it. We spend actually most of our time trying to figure out ways to ask for suggestions so that we don't get the same thing twice. Mm-hmm. We found over the 10 years we've been touring that the show really works best when we're totally out of our safe element. That's usually when the magic happens.
Yeah, and that magic, I mean, I don't know how you guys just pull that rabbit out of the hat every single night. It's so entertaining. And, being part of the audience, is there anything that we need to know? Is there anything that we're not supposed to shout out?
The only rule, the major rule is never shout out gynecologist or proctologist. Because you really don't want to see a sound effect scene about those occupations. We try to make the audience, think outside the box so we're not getting, suggestions like dentist or doctor. We want the audience to actually kind of work almost as hard as us in coming up with things that will be fun for us to play and fun for them to watch. Part of our job is to make sure that the audience feels as comfortable as they can be when we bring them up on stage. It's totally a natural environment for them. So it's our job to make sure that they feel as secure as they can, because we need them to help us with the scene. So we don't want them to be afraid or think that we're going to make fun of them. We're very supportive for our audience members.
Yeah, with the audience being so involved, I mean, I got to ask you, with all the shows that you guys have done over the years, has anything ever gone wrong before?
The beauty of improv is it can't really, because when it goes wrong, you just use that. So everything that happens is fuel for the scene, and you can build on that. So unless everyone, for some reason, just stands there saying nothing, there'll always be something for us to do and work on.
So, who makes you laugh, Colin?
I was a big Monty Python fan. When I was growing up, I loved the Bob Hope, Bing Crosby road movies, Jack Benny, Dick Van Dyke. A lot of, pretty much everyone who's had a great career in comedy, I've sort of watched, admired, and stolen from.
And what if you had to say, pick one sketch from Whose Line Is It Anyway that you've watched over and over and over again, and it makes you laugh every time? Which one would it be, do you think?
It would have to be the one with Richard Simmons.
Well, you know what? Why don't we, jet ski? I'd love to.
We always use that. If someone doesn't know the show, we say, well, watch this particular sketch, because it kind of sums up everything. It's mayhem. In the actual scene, they actually had to cut some of the audience reaction, because at one point the laugh was so long, the scene was going on too long. So it's a funny scene. It's totally unpredictable, and it's one of those I can actually watch over and over again, and I hate watching myself.
Not that Richard Simmons is ever unpredictable.
Oh, God, no. The beauty of him is he was so committed, and really, that's all you need in improv.
Can you give us kind of a sneak preview as to what kinds of ideas you'll be looking for from our Edmonton audience here?
Well, we'll do a lot of games that will be familiar to Whose Line fans, like we have the sound effects game, we have a moving bodies game. We have some games that we made up because there's just the two of us, and there aren't a lot of two-people games that we can do. We do the world's most dangerous improv game, where we're blindfolded and barefoot, and there's 100 live mousetraps on the stage. Yes, it's just that stupid.
Well, I mean, the show has been billed as, fun for the entire family. So, I got to ask you, are there any rules that you have to follow, or lines, no pun intended, that you're not supposed to cross?
I think it's sort of ingrained in us now, because our audiences are so across the board. We have, people from 9 to 90, and actually, because of YouTube, we found that our audiences are getting younger the last couple of years. So we never get any more risque than the television show was. Both Brad and I are not big swearers, so that tends not to come out anyway. It's just big, goofy fun.
And speaking about fun, it is time for rapid fire. Colin, I'm going to give you 5 questions. You got 10 seconds. Are you ready?
Oh, my God, okay.
Okay, here we go. Question number 1 is, in the movie of your life, who would play you?
Well, obviously, George Clooney.
If you could be in someone's shoes for a day, who would it be?
Again, George Clooney.
In Whose Line, who was the worst kisser?
Oh, they all have such incredibly soft lips, but I would say Wayne tenses up a little too much.
All right. If not improv, second love of your life?
Cooking.
And if you had a chance to roast somebody on Comedy Central, who would it be?
I would love to roast Ryan, just because I know so much about him. I'd have great material.
Well, listen, Colin, we cannot wait to see you. I know a lot of Edmontonians are really excited for this show, and I just want to thank you for taking the time to chat with us. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. I'm really looking forward. I love Edmonton. I actually lived there for a year, so I always love going back.
Well, we love having you back. And don't forget, if you want to see Colin and Brad, they will be at the Service Credit Union Place in St. Albert, Friday, September the 20th. And if you want tickets, you can go on to ardentheater.com or Ticketmaster. Thanks so much, Colin.
Oh, thank you.